Hey everybody, this is Olga with AskYourSoul.org, and today I have a reading for you that relates directly to your soul. So for this one, I thought we would do your soul lessons for this lifetime and your Archangel message. So I'm sure you know how this pick a card reading thing works, but just in case, go ahead and choose one of these piles, and this is number 1, number 2, and number 3. And this one says earth, fire, and water. So you can choose either based off of a number or based off of this one of the elements, or just literally your intuition telling you, like, pick this one or this one or this one. Definitely don't overanalyze, just like go with your first hunch, and that's gonna be, according to the law of synchronicity, the perfect message for you today. I also want to mention that sometimes these messages don't make sense like at the actual moment that you're watching them, and they might start making sense sometime down the line, like maybe a couple of weeks or maybe even over a month from now. But I find that most of the time it's actually something that you can totally relate to and use in your life. And, I just strongly believe that you came across this video for a reason, so hopefully this is exactly what you need to hear right now. So without further ado, let's go with pile number 1. P.S. If I sound absolutely exhausted, it's because I am, because I have a 1-month-old and I haven't been sleeping for the past month, well, even before that, because I was very pregnant and exhausted as well. But now it's especially tough because he wakes up every 2 hours to be fed and changed and yada yada yada. So just bear with me. Hopefully this is not gonna affect my readings and my overall energy, because my intention is very clear, and it's to help you and to be the conduit for a message that you really need to hear right now. Anyways, let's do this, shall we? Okay, so pile number 1. Work with devotion, retreat, detach from drama, and spiritual understanding. Love this. Okay. So I feel like you have a lot of spiritual work to do for this lifetime, my friend. And it's interesting because I've noticed that in both of these cards where we have more than one person, it's a man and a woman. And in this one, they're looking away from each other. And in this one, she's looking away from him. So I wonder if that means something to you, especially as it relates to relationships in your life. But to me, it feels like there is something, or rather someone in your life that's kind of taken away a lot of your energy from something really important that you're here to learn. And maybe that's also part of your lesson, right? But just looking at this message overall, it seems like you are here to create something truly special. As long as you really, really dedicate yourself to that work, and as long as you're ready to maybe even temporarily put your relationships on hold for this, and this seems like it's going to be a spirituality related type of work, but especially if you've been noticing more and more signs as of late, because here we have your Archangel Raziel, who facilitates spiritual understanding, and it says, I'm bringing you esoteric information and symbols and helping you understand spiritual truths. So if you've been noticing signs, and birds could be a part of those signs, but even if you haven't, I bet that if you start paying attention, you're going to start noticing some. And in order for you to really progress and achieve some sort of excellence, some sort of results, it is really, really important for you to take time to be by yourself, just alone with yourself. And for some people that's really hard, and for others it's actually, feels natural, depending on whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, although most of us are usually ambiverts. But basically it's really important for you to learn about yourself through disciplined action. And what I mean by that is most likely something relating to meditation, where you can really focus on what is going on inside of your mind, what is going on inside of your heart and soul, and how are you looking at the world, and how are you seeing yourself and everyone else in your world. But I feel like there's definitely some heartache that you would have to deal with as well as part of your soul lessons. It's one of those things where nobody wants to go through that, but it's the only way to really learn and grow and to recognize how strong you are, and just to understand what is it or who is it that you really need in your life and who is it that you really don't need in your life. So I'm just talking about this detached from drama thing, because drama, as you know, I'm sure, takes up so much of our energy that could be used in so many other awesome ways and more productive ways that would actually contribute something positive to your life and to lives of others, versus being stuck in some drama because of something that happened between you and someone else. So I'm feeling like there's a lot to do with your relationships for this lifetime, and that's a big part of your soul lessons and how you deal with those relationships. And I'm almost sensing like this tendency towards being codependent in relationships, and that's, I think, why I'm seeing this card retreat. So it's kind of like being able to recognize your own patterns, especially when it comes to codependency, which happens to a lot of us, unfortunately. But at the same time, like, once you become more conscious of it and it's easier for you to recognize, it's gonna keep getting easier for you to not be this way, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but with time, you're gonna have to learn, and you are gonna be able to do a better job at not being codependent with others. So I really feel like you have a lot of interesting work to do in this world, and you've definitely been through a lot, and you're here to kind of take this next step of becoming more spiritually aware, of using spiritual practices that would serve you and serve others, and also learning discipline. That's a biggie. Because sometimes, like, we think of people who have achieved a lot as them being lucky or knowing others who just helped them get to that point or whatever. And sometimes that's true, but most of the time, like 99% of the time, it's because of all the hard work that they've put in, all the hours and days and months and years that they've put into whatever practice that they're doing, even on the days when they really didn't feel like doing it, on the days when they felt disappointed or unsure or tired or whatever. It's more about you becoming aware of all the times when you're not using the free time that you have wisely, and especially if you're kind of wasting it basically on dealing with drama with other people or something that like takes away from all the beautiful things that you could be doing instead and learning and sharing with others. And again, I feel like one of the best things you can do is to take as much time off as you possibly can in order to learn more about yourself, and to also pay attention to whatever signs you keep seeing repeatedly, especially if it's 3 or more times per day, let's say. And you can always ask for signs, right? From your guides and angels, you can always ask them. Like, for instance, I usually make sure that I formulate a question in a way that it's a very clear yes or a no question. And then I ask them to give me a very clear sign, whether it's a yes or a no. And I literally look for a yes or a no around me, right? So, like, if I see the word not, to me, that means that was a no. Okay, and if I would see a word yesterday, then I would assume that that's a yes. And if I see like 3 of them in a row, if that's what I asked for, then that's the best sign that they can give me that I would take as the answer to my question. So it just really depends on how you want to do it, but usually the simpler you formulate the question, the better, because otherwise if it's like, should I do this or should I do that, and it's gonna be harder to read those signs, honestly, versus if you ask, should I do this? Give me a sign, yes or no. I want to see a clear sign and like 3 of them, right? And so you're totally going to see those, I guarantee you. You just have to really, really pay attention. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm not saying like don't have relationships, don't talk to people, just go away by yourself, like find an island and just stay there forever and meditate forever. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that be very mindful and careful about how much energy you give to others what kind of energy is it and for what? Like, is it energy that just depletes you and literally nothing useful really comes of it, other than you just spent your energy on someone who was being like an energy vampire or something? Or are you, let's say, having fascinating conversations with someone and they are propelling you to think in ways that you haven't before, to open up your mind? It's really stimulating and it's really interesting, and it's actually helping you progress spiritually in life. If that's not the case, then you are kind of being encouraged to take more time off and to really pay attention to how you're feeling around people, to how much energy you're dedicating to them and giving them. And again, like, why are you giving them that energy? Like, what kind of energy is that? Again, being disciplined and staying with whatever it is that you decide to pursue, that's super important. Because I know it's hard a lot of the time because we don't see progress quickly enough, and that's super discouraging, right? Like, you just want, like, you start something, I mean, at least I'm talking about myself here, like when you start something and you just want to see results like ASAP, because you're like, I've created a video, I put so much time into it, and then 40-50 videos later you're like, dude, anything? Like, anybody out there, anybody watching them? And that's okay, because in all reality we don't know how far along we are in this process. Like, who knows, maybe you think that you're just at the beginning and you suck and like nobody cares about what you're doing, and then a week from now all of a sudden you start getting more and more feedback, and that helps you evolve your work into something even more interesting to people, and more people come, and yada yada yada. And it has this like domino effect where all of a sudden you start having exactly what it is that you've been wanting to have all along. You know, it just takes a little bit of time because we're in a physical reality. We can't manifest immediately, usually, most of the time. So hang in there, really stick with that, whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is that popped into your mind when I was talking about that. Be super mindful about how people in your life affect you and how they affect your energy, how they affect your life, how they affect your work. And don't hesitate to take time off whenever is possible, so that you can dedicate some time to your spiritual evolvement, to your spiritual discipline, whether it's meditation or journaling or something else that you enjoy doing and that helps you spiritually grow. And of course, definitely pay attention to the signs. If you're not sure what those are, usually it's something that is meaningful to you personally and might mean literally nothing to someone else. And usually it's something that you kind of keep seeing repeatedly. Like, a lot of people see the same numbers repeatedly, and once you start studying numbers and like go into numerology and all that stuff, you realize what they mean. And, you know, you might be seeing like 111 or 222 or whatever, and those are signs as well. So definitely pay attention to those, and maybe if you keep seeing the same ones and you have no idea what they mean, take some time to Google them. Take some time to learn more about why you're seeing these numbers or whatever the signs are. And if you feel like you're not seeing any signs, just ask. Ask your guides, ask your angels and archangels to give you clear signs and to give you answers to very clear questions, as I've mentioned before. So I hope that makes sense to you. I hope it resonated with you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like a more personalized reading, definitely reach out to me via askyoursoul.org. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and please come back soon. And we are moving on to pile number 2. So this is pile number 2. We have fire. I totally forgot with pile number 2 to even address the element. Oh my god. But with this one, I'm gonna make it a point not to forget. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Face your shadow. Damn, that's a tough one. Speak up. Okay. Live from your spirit. And look at that. Life review. Archangel Jeremiah. Take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that is unbalanced. Okay. So look at that. We actually had fire as the element, and to me fire represents passion first and foremost. And we also have some fire here, I notice. And even here, look at that. Very interesting. So to me, it seems like passion is a really big part of your life, whether you recognize it or not, or maybe it should be a bigger part of your life than it is right now. But what's interesting is that I'm also feeling a lot of fear from the way that these cards speak to me personally. It feels like you do have this passion somewhere deep inside your heart, but you're so afraid to follow it. You're afraid of what others might think about it. You're afraid of how it's going to affect other people and how it's going to affect your life. You're afraid of what might happen if you follow this passion and nothing works out, and literally you just feel like you failed. And maybe you're even subconsciously afraid of all the things that might come your way once you do start pursuing your passion. I'm just looking at this one, face your shadow. But facing your shadow is one of those experiences, it's one of those soul lessons that can teach you the most about yourself. It can teach you the most about who you really are. And even if it's something that you don't like, or you just prefer not to even acknowledge or see, maybe it's something you just don't even want to ever think about. Maybe it's something you're ashamed of, but it's still a part of you. And if you're not confronting it ever, it's always just sitting there, and kind of instead of contributing to your energy and contributing to your life in a positive way, it's actually depleting your energy. It's taking up all this energy, whether you even realize it or not. It's usually subconscious, so you have no idea that that's even happening, which is lovely. But the tricky part about facing your shadow is that most of the time we're so far removed from it that we don't even recognize that that's our, we even have it, that that's our shadow. So in order to recognize that, I really encourage you to pay more attention to your thoughts, and not just any thoughts, but especially those thoughts that gross you out, or make you really uncomfortable, or you're like, why would I think that? That's not me. That's horrible. Or whatever, because we all have those. And thoughts are frequencies, so it depends on what channel you're tuned into, and those are the kinds of thoughts you kind of attract. But you always have a choice of changing that channel, right? And attracting different thoughts, and therefore affecting your reality in a different way. But still, if you're attracting those thoughts, if you're at that frequency where you're attracting thoughts that make you uncomfortable or make you wonder what the hell is wrong with you, I really encourage you to question them and dig deeper and think about what part of you is aching to be recognized. What part of you have you been silencing for many, 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 many years probably? What is that part of you that it's still there, but you're not letting it show in your life? Because again, either you're ashamed or you just don't even think it's happening. You're disassociating from it. It's a lot of hard work, and I would say therapy can really help with recognizing it and confronting it. But you don't even need therapy necessarily for that. It's all about you just being truthful with yourself and just taking some time to really reflect on how you feel. Think about what you're angry about in your life. What are you mad about? What makes you annoyed? What makes you frustrated? And why? And what is it that's sitting deeper, that's really affecting the way that you see this life? Because I guarantee you there's always something that we need to work on, okay? It's a never-ending process. But whatever you can do to bring to the surface some of the things that are depleting your energy right now without you even fully recognizing it, it's really, really important to at least be aware of that, so that when it starts happening and you start thinking those thoughts that are not really serving you, you can actually be okay with having them and letting them go. I think that's the biggest thing, just being well, yep, there's a part of me that feels this way, but it's not all of me, and that's okay. As long as I'm not harming myself, I'm not harming anybody else. Okay, that's a part of me. I recognize you. And sometimes it's really helpful to speak to that part of you, especially in meditation, when you feel anger, let's say, and you can imagine what this anger looks like, what it feels like, what color is it, what is it there to tell you? Or like this anxiety, what is it there to tell you? How is it protecting you from what? And you can thank it and be like, thank you for protecting me for all these years, but I would really appreciate it if you let me just do my thing. Just something along those lines. It doesn't have to be exactly like that or anything. So, okay, speaking up. I feel like these are so interconnected because it's almost like you're not trusting yourself enough to even speak out loud about certain things, and you don't value your opinion enough for it to be heard. And that's too bad, because I guarantee you there's going to be people out there who would love to hear your opinion, who are going to be genuinely interested, and they're actually going to find something useful in it, they're going to benefit from it, and you're going to benefit from being able to speak your truth. I know it's hard sometimes. Like, I'm one of those people who used to be like deathly afraid of public speaking, and I say used to because I just haven't done it in a long time, so I really don't know. I probably still am really afraid of it. But I think what's been super helpful is really focusing on the message. It's not about you, okay? Like, it's about the message. What are you there to tell other people? Like, why are you speaking this truth? Or if you're speaking up because you need to defend yourself, if you're speaking up because there's something in your life that's making you miserable, let's say, making you feel miserable, I encourage you to speak up to whoever you feel could help you resolve that problem, to whoever needs to hear this, even if they don't want to hear it, because that's your truth and it deserves to be heard. You're here, you're in this world, and by default, that means that you have the right to be here. So I encourage you to be more accepting of yourself and more trusting towards yourself and more trusting towards spirit, more trusting towards your guides and angels and archangels. And again, with this message, take an inventory of your life and healing anything that is unbalanced. Whatever just popped into your head when I said these words, that's exactly what needs to be healed. I feel like it does have a lot to do with your passion somehow, whether it's passion for work or passion for another human being, I don't know, or passion for whatever else that's happening, right? So to sum up, don't be afraid to live your truth. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to trust your inner calling and trust this passion that's leading your way, and not to be a yes person, okay? Like, to be more picky about whom you dedicate your time and energy to, and just finding more balance in your life overall. Spend more time noticing the good things in your life and being grateful for those things and operating from that energy, from the energy of gratitude and love. Just focusing on that more so you can attract more of that energy. And also being more open-minded about things that you don't necessarily love about yourself, and finding a way to make peace with them and to kind of integrate them into your whole being, because they are still a part of you. And the first step is to kind of recognize them, that they even exist, and that's a really big step. And afterwards, you can kind of start working on accepting them and just making the best of them. It's still, at the end of the day, even those things that you don't particularly love about yourself, you can still let them propel you towards something positive. I guess, like, that's what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense. Okay, well, I hope that resonates with you all, and if you enjoyed this reading, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you'd like a personalized reading, I would love to do one, so please reach out via askyoursoul.org. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night. Thank you for watching, and please come back soon. Bye! And we're moving on to pile number 3. This one is water. Water is all about feelings to me. So, well, to you it might mean something totally different, but I'm just saying. Okay, so let's see what we got. Live life to the fullest. Wake up call. That's awesome. Tune out distractions. Okay. And the message that we have is from Archangel Zadkiel, and he's saying, keep an open mind and learn new ideas. then teach these ideas to others. So maybe there are some teachers in the audience right now. And interestingly, we also have water here, and it says tune out distractions. So my question to you is, how do you feel about your life in general? Do you feel like you're really living it to the fullest? Or do you feel like it's kind of just passing you by and it's fine, but it's just nothing that's super exciting to you? And maybe you even feel like something is missing. Maybe you feel like you could be doing something like teaching and learning, and you're not. I feel like that's the biggest message here, because it's almost like the universe is telling you like, hey, this is your wake-up call, wake up. There could be so much more to your life. You could be doing so much more if you only took the time to really learn more about yourself and what you want, and just more about this life. If you only tuned out whatever it is that's distracting you, whether it's other people or things that you're doing on a daily basis that are just really depleting your energy. But I feel like the biggest lesson for you is to really become more focused on everything that you could be learning and how differently you could be living this life. There's so much more to it than what you've been seeing. And maybe you're still at the beginning of this spiritual journey, this path. But I definitely encourage you to try to become more attuned to your feelings. How do you feel? How is everything going? Like really, when you remove all the external things from what's happening in your life, how do you really feel underneath it all? Are you happy with how everything is going, or do you feel like you're really missing out? And if you do feel like you're missing out, it's because you probably are. Because there could be so much more in your life, like all these fruits of labor, and not even necessarily labor. It's just gifts from the universe that you could be getting if only you started paying more attention to how you feel and like tuning out anything that doesn't serve you. And especially if you've been called... I'm so sorry, but I have to run because the baby's crying and the other baby's here. But just really, really quickly, I just wanted you to know that you could consider this reading your wake-up call. And I feel like there's something really, really interesting that is ready to come into your life, but you just have to be ready to accept it and become more open towards it. Anyway, again, I'm so sorry, but I have to cut this short and I have to run. But thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you much love and light, and I really hope to see you back soon for another reading that will hopefully not be cut short. Thanks so much again. And please feel free to reach out to me via askyoursoul.org. Thanks, bye!